fresh registration to continue, but you are no longer compelled to.
The respondent shall not set any time restrictions or deadlines.
Plus, court orders DCI to hand over 9 of 100 Itare Dam cars to a bank. And Interior CS says a wager which he says only has one outcome.
Some of you will be out of this business soon.
Also tonight,
mvugo imeanza kukonda, imeanza kufifia.
Not yet out of the woods. No food, no water for animals in Marsabit.
NTV Tonight with Zainab Ismail.
And my sign language co-pilot this evening is Flora Atieno. Now tonight, the government can roll out the National Integrated Information Management System, also known as Huduma number, starting tomorrow, after the High Court permitted its conditional rollout following a petition by the Kenya Human Rights Commission and 2 others. Members of the public will, however, not be compelled to register. No deadlines shall apply, and the Huduma number shall not be a precondition to access government services. Olive Barrows reports.
The registration of persons to the National Integrated Information Management System will go ahead tomorrow after the High Court declined to suspend the exercise. In their summary ruling, the 3-judge bench, comprising Justices Mumbingugi, Pauline Nyamwea and Weldon Korir, found that suspending the exercise would not serve the public interest.
It is our finding that it is in the public interest to have an efficient, organized system of registration of persons and the responsible use of resources in the process in light of the socio-economic gains that have been illustrated by the respondents.
In its conditional assent to the exercise, the court stipulated that pending the hearing and determination of the suit, the public should not be compelled to register for a Huduma number, and the number should not serve as a precondition to accessing government services.
However, pending the hearing and determination of the consolidated petitions, the respondent shall not set any time restrictions or deadlines as regards the collection of the said personal information and data in means, share or disseminate any of the personal information or data collected in means with any other national or international government or non-governmental agencies or any persons.
The judges also suspended several contentious amendments to the Registration of Persons Act that provided for the collection of DNA and GPS data.
The inclusion of DNA as one of the unique identifiers or attributes in the definition of biometric in Section 3 of the Registration of Persons Act be and is hereby suspended pending the hearing and determination of the consolidated petitions hearing.
The Interior Ministry made it clear when it rolled out the NIMS pilot exercise in February that it does not intend to collect DNA.
We will want to take 10 fingerprints, and I'm saying fingerprints purposely because I've heard some people saying we'll take earlobes, we will take palms. We are taking 10 fingerprints as we do when we are picking our national ID.
The petitioners were not assuaged and voiced concern that as long as it remains provided for in the law, it risks being enacted. As the court considered its ruling, plans were underway in various parts of the country for the national rollout, with President Uhuru Kenyatta expected to launch the exercise in Machakos.
The National Integrated Identity Management System, better referred to as NIMS, will generate a unique identification number that will be known as the Huduma number. This directive is meant to increase efficiency, speed of delivery, better utilization of public resources, and reduce wastage as well as gatekeeping.
Olive Barrows, NTV.
Well, the High Court has ordered the DCI to release 9 vehicles used by Italian firm Ravenna, CMC di Ravenna for the construction of Itare Dam in Nakuru County, 3 days after the Criminal Investigations Agency ordered that the cars be surrendered to any police station. Now, Backless Bank, which had sued the Italian firm of unpaid loans advanced to the company, said it will give an undertaking not to dispose of the vehicles. And to visit Olale with the latest twist in the dam scandal probe.
Backless Bank Kenya has momentarily won custodial orders to keep 9 motor vehicles used by Italian firm CMCD Ravenna for the construction of the Itare Dam in Nakuru County. The Directorate of Criminal Investigations has been in a tussle with Backless Bank over the custody of the vehicles as investigations into the shady contracts for the construction of mega dams in Nakuru and Elgeyo Marakwet counties gather pace. Backless had sued the Italian firm over loans it advanced to the company but failed to repay. The 9 vehicles are a part of 98 vehicles outsourced by Italian firm for use during the construction of the now stalled Itare Dam. Backless Bank told High Court Judge Justice Francis Tuyot that it will give an undertaking not to dispose the vehicles. Justice Francis Tuyot had in an earlier ruling ordered that the vehicles be held at the Kasorida Limited Yard in Nakuru pending the determination of the case or further orders of the court.
Our request would be further to the orders that my learned senior has requested, that a specific order be given barring the DCI and the ODPP from involving these particular vehicles in the manner in which they have done so far.
The DCI on Friday, and through its Twitter handle, directed the owners of the 9 vehicles, which include 5 Toyota Prados, a double cabin and 1 Land Cruiser pickup, surrender them to the nearby police stations. The judge also directed the DCI to pull down the tweet, urging members of the public and the owners of the vehicles to report to the court in case they come across the 9 vehicles. The court heard that the drivers might be attacked as they drive the vehicles to Nakuru, to the yard where the court directed they be kept.
Of any of the vehicles.
Senior Assistant Director of Public Prosecutions Alexander Muteti told the court that police in Nakuru will provide security as they are driven to Kasorina. Meanwhile, Rift Valley Water Services Board has applied to be enjoined in the case, arguing that it contracted the Italian company to construct the dam in Kuresoi, Molo in Nakuru County. Seth Olale, NTV.
Now, licenses for all betting and gaming companies stand suspended effective the 1st of July, and they will only be renewed if they prove they have been paying taxes. Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i denounced the betting craze in the country, saying it was time to clean up the betting industry. NTV's Sharon Baranga also reports that the government is also working on its fast betting policy.
The battle lines have been drawn. Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i has his sights set on betting and gaming firms.
An opportunity.
At a meeting of stakeholders, Matiang'i announced that all licenses of betting firms will be suspended effective the 1st of July and will only be renewed once they provide proof of tax compliance.
Mimi sitaki ujeuri ule ya kawaida kuleta tax compliance certificate. Hapana. There must be evidence that tax has been paid. I promise you, it may be a bit tough for some of you, and let me not lie, some of you will be out of this business soon.
Matiang'i says the sector will undergo radical changes. The government will come up with a fast betting policy that will regulate the 200 billion shillings sector.
The number of cases we have to deal with of suicide in this country, out of this desperation, we must say no.
What are we raising our children to do? What kind of country are we building? Are we raising our children and telling them, just do nothing with your life, just go around betting and become a millionaire and live well? Is that the kind of thing that we are telling our country and our children?
The government raised concern about the number of young people caught up in the betting craze.
We have the unfortunate situation where we in Kenya are leading on this continent on the population of our young people who are involved in betting. 76% of our young people, 76% of our young people are involved in one form of betting or the other. 54% of those who are actively involved in betting are all from the low-income earning bracket. We have about 500,000 of our young people now who have been blacklisted by some of the lending agencies. 500,000 because they borrowed but cannot pay. And many of them borrowed for betting.
In June last year, Matiang'i ordered the immediate deportation of foreigners involved in the assembling and sale of illegal gambling machines. During that period, a number of gambling machines were also burnt.
The Interior Cabinet Secretary concluded the close to 2 hours meeting by saying that the government wants to see a sector that is clean, reformed, organized, and where everyone plays by the rule of law. Sharon Baranga, NTV, Nairobi.
Well, the drought and famine being witnessed in parts of the country has started claiming domestic animals as affected communities call on the national government to act faster. This is some of the leaders from the affected regions insist that the effects are not as dire as has been depicted in the media and that people who have died have not succumbed to the effects of drought and hunger.
Residents of Burgabo in Marsabit County are a worried lot as the heat of the drought hits them hard. They are torn between looking for food for themselves and finding food for their valued domestic animals. Animals are dying increasingly. Those remaining are at the brink, peeping into lifelessness, with their lives seemingly evaporating just a step behind than the water points. There is only one watering point, which people and animals are forced to share. In some cases, animals have what is left after their masters have had their serving.
Hii mchanga kuna ngamia ndani hapo ngamia mbili. Umekufa sababu na anja sawa ya maji. Kwa sababu hapo area hakuna maji. Mimi sijawahi kuona ngamia anakufa bila maji kwa zaidi ya leo. Sijawahi kuona, hata sijawahi kusikia kwa katika Kenya mzima.
Hii mtungi na hii punda ulikuja jana. Na sasa mpaka kesho hakuna maji yanapata.
All this as leaders, especially from the arid and semi-arid areas, insist there is no famine or deaths caused by hunger.
Kitu inaitwa famine, kabla watu kufa, wanyama ndio wanaenda kwanza. Hii ni gani mnatangaza tumeingia famine na wanyama bado wako?
The carcasses share a different story, bringing closer home a moribund reality.
Ukame vile imezidi, kila moja anajua. Watu wamehama, wengine wamevuka, hata wako katika taifa lingine.
The county governments that make up the arid and semi-arid regions now want the national government to pump in more cash to their coffers to mitigate the effects.
Lakini nataka tuendelee kabisa to highlight mambo ya umaskini. Kwa sababu umaskini ndio shida kubwa ambayo nchi mzima haijawahi tackle vilivyo katika sehemu ambayo wafugaji wote wanaishi.
Kennedy Muredhi, NTV.
Well, here's something that those living around Lake Kapnarok in Baringo County don't see every day or at all. 3 elephants stuck in the muddy receding waters of the lake as they waded in search of water under the scorching heat. The prolonged drought and an increasing human footprint around the lake and upstream the rivers that feed it have led to its drying up. NTV's Anita Nkonge reports.
Curious spectators gathered round the muddy shores of Lake Kapnarok to witness what was possibly a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence. 3 elephants had been plodding for days for a chance at nourishment, but were ensnared by their only salvation, this lake, where they had waded into in search of water. One does not have to look far to understand why. The lake is drying up. One could even say it's on its deathbed. What was once a vibrant lake and home to a thriving ecosystem is now a parched shadow of itself. The effects of the ongoing drought in the area have been stinging to all who depend on the lake for survival.
Imekuwa ngumu. Imeua mbuzi, ng'ombe, kondoo ndio inaanza kuua ndovu.
Already the numbers of the rare white crocodile known to reside at the lake have reduced as they battled the harsh weather and lost. 400 elephants, 4,000 livestock and 3 schools depend on the lake's water after many rivers dried up. But it's not just arid weather that is affecting the lake and its ecosystem. Human activities are also playing a part in the change of the Tugen and Elgeyo escarpment.
There's no grass, it is dried up, and this is because of the human activities in the catchment areas where we have felled all the trees for charcoal and also arable farming, so that all the soil comes down into this lake, accelerating the rate of drying up of the lake.
Residents are now appealing to government to help bring permanent solutions that will ensure their survival. Anita Nkonge, NTV.
And a little bit away from that, in Mombasa, the criminal gangs on the loose continue to rain terror on the residents of Kisauni. One more person was injured after he was attacked by the gang that left 5 people hospitalized on Sunday. Residents are now calling on security agents to deal decisively with the insecurity in the area. NTV's Kevin Mutai reports.
In the narrow alleys of Mondoni in Mombasa, an area known as a blue bench is more of a red spot for residents there. They claim it is a fertile breeding ground for criminals and gangs that have been terrorizing residents of Kisauni and Nyali for months. On Sunday, the gang was on the loose in a looting and maiming spree that left 5 people nursing serious injuries in hospital. A boda rider is among 2 of their latest victims nursing injuries at Palani Hospital in Sokomjinga.
Akapokonywa kila kitu dada, alikuwa na handbag na simu, hizo zikaenda, handbag iko na 5,300, akatolewa nguo zote, akabaki kama uchi vyenye alivyozaliwa.
Nimewahi tishiwa maisha si zaidi ya mara 6. Juzi Friday niliponea hivi kufa. Hata bike yangu ile unaona ni panga. Hiyo bike ni panga. Na shida na ugomvi na wao ni kwa sababu ya nini? Kuwazuia wasifanye lile jambo.
Drug abuse among the youth has been cited as the major factor contributing to the insecurity in the area.
Hakutaumia ati watu kidogo, wanaumia ni wengi. Kijana akishakuwa yuko juu ya vitu vyake au drugs, kukata yeye anasikia jambo la kawaida. Je, atakata wangapi ili roho yake ridhike?
Police have launched a manhunt for more suspects believed to have escaped with gunshot wounds. Police say the criminals may have been hiding in rental houses in Mtwapa, Likoni and Kisauni, where they depend on the support of their relatives.
Waziri Rais, makamu wa rais, wakuu wote wa kitengo cha serikali, hili jambo tuomba likome, lisiendelee. Linapoendelea la tuumiza sisi tu, laumiza wananchi wote wa Kisauni.
If you see somebody with gun wound or a wound that you don't understand, it is good you report to the nearest police station or any government office, chief's office, sub-chief's office, and the DC's office and DO's office.
The latest wave of attacks in Kisauni has left 6 people nursing injuries in different hospitals. Some residents say they have been threatened by the gangs and are now counting on the police for protection.
Police say the die has been cast, warning criminal elements in Kisauni and Nyali constituencies that their days are numbered, and at the same time calling on members of the public to volunteer information that will help detectives in their investigations. Kevin Mutai, NTV, Mombasa.
And 4 people have been killed in Drought area in Elgeyo Marakwet County in a bandit attack, a retaliation mission. 20 Pokot boys from Cheptuimot allegedly raided Drought in the evening and made away with livestock. The bandits shot dead 2 pupils from Chesawach Primary School. An exchange of fire ensued as people of Marakwet went out on what is believed to be a revenge mission and gunned down 2 of the attacking bandits and seriously injured 3 others. All right, and we're going to take a very quick break. We still have a lot lined up for you. Stay tuned. Thank you so much for staying with us. You're watching NTV Tonight. Now, the Supreme Court judges and staff are holding a 3-day meeting in Naivasha against a backdrop of a myriad of challenges that continue to dog the apex court. More than half of the judges on the Supreme Court bench are facing investigations either by police or the Judicial Service Commission. The agenda of the closed-door meeting is, however, a closely guarded secret. But as Gan Mijongo reports, the turmoil in the judiciary is likely to be in the agenda.
It's been described as an ordinary retreat, a part of the annual calendar for the court and staff, but the details and purpose of the meeting were, however, shrouded in secrecy. There was no formal communication about it, in spite of the fact that the Chief Justice is in attendance together with his judges. The agenda too was never communicated, but going by the happenings at the judiciary and the graft allegations that have roped in even its top ranks, the current crisis is likely to feature at the top of the agenda. There has been questions about the character and reputation of the judges, including the Chief Justice David Maraga, even though in the last week those who had presented petitions against them backtracked.
Malice, ulterior motive.
The Deputy Chief Justice too is in court. Her reputation is on trial after she was accused of unethical practices and abuse of office. A 5-judge bench is preparing a ruling that will determine if she will be formally charged in court or subjected to investigations by the Judicial Service Commission. Lady Justice Njoki Ndongo, perhaps the only judge who has had more than 3 petitions against her since joining the bench, is also facing an imminent tribunal after she declined to appear before the Judicial Service Commission. The JSC will decide whether to refer the matter to President Kenyatta to form a tribunal to begin the process of removing her from office or not. Time has, however, run out for Justice Ojwang, who is waiting for a tribunal to begin investigating him after he, too, declined to appear before the Judicial Service Commission. The President has until mid this week to name the tribunal that will be hearing the petition from the Judicial Service Commission. Once the tribunal is constituted, Justice Ojwang will be suspended pending the outcome. Ojwang will be the second Supreme Court judge to face a tribunal since the constitution of the Supreme Court. The tribunal investigating former Supreme Court Judge Philip Tunoy did not conclude its work after he retired by the time he was facing the tribunal. Ken Mijungu, NTV.
Well, the Senate has expressed concerns that the Nairobi County government's incomplete composition could set a bad precedent for other counties if the position of Deputy Governor and County Executive Committee members are not filled soon. Nairobi has been operating without a Deputy Governor for 15 months, while some county executive positions are also yet to be filled. Well, Governor Gideon Mbuvi Sonko, however, says he's moving to rectify this new appointments and yet more reshuffles in the cabinet. NTV's Brenda Wanga reports.
The vacancies within the Nairobi County Executive Committee have found audience in the Senate.
The County Executive Committee of Nairobi County has been operating without being properly constituted as per the Constitution. It's been operating without a deputy governor for the last 15 months.
Sakaja says the empty offices at the executive, but more importantly, in the deputy governor's office, are a disservice to the county's residents.
The blatant ignoring and undermining of the role of a deputy governor sets a dangerous precedent to county governments and is a threat to the spirit of devolution.
The Mike Sonko-led executive has been hit by resignations and firings in the last 1.5 years, leaving the offices of the deputy governor and half of the cabinet vacant for extended periods of time, raising concerns not just about service delivery but also the constitutionality of the entire county government setup. Perhaps spurred by those concerns from the oversight body, the governor now says he is moving to fill some of these vacancies. 3 new county executive members were set to be sworn in today. The 3, Winfred Kadhangu, Pauline Kahiga and Lucia Mulwa, were vetted and approved by the Assembly. Upon their oathing, they will bring to 8 the number of county executives.
They have been sworn in today, just an hour ago. Before you came here, I've already sworn them in. And I've decided to reinstate 2 because their makosas were kidogo. It was just cases of insubordination which I have the discretion of finalizing those cases and restate them. So I'm restating 2 CC members. So by end of today, I'll have a full cabinet.
While that would restore parity at the cabinet level, the resort office still remains vacant since the former Deputy Governor Polycarp Egado resigned over what he termed as poor working relations with the governor. The county is yet to get a replacement. Last year, Sonko appointed ODM's Miguna to that position. His nomination was rejected by the county assembly.
Whoever will be proposed, lazima nikae na yeye nijue ni mtu aina gani. Yeah, kama atakuja tena alafu kesho yake resign. Yeah, nipukue portrayed as a rogue leader, as vile watu wanapenda kufanya.
The high turnover of staff at the county government, especially at the executive level, has led many to label that posting as one of the most volatile ones within the county. But the county governor maintains that he is not about to change his leadership style, and that entails demanding the very best from those people he entrusts with that position.
And I want to put it clear. All lazy officers, anybody implicated in corruption and laziness, will not renew his contract.
He also, at the same time, defended himself over allegations of having a 96 million shillings confidential expenditure kitty at City Hall, saying the money allocated to him can all be accounted for. Brenda Wanga, NTV.
Well, away from Nairobi to Murang'a County now, and women from Mutuma village in Gatundu North staged a 10-kilometer protest walk of an increase in rape cases, insecurity, and what they term as police incompetence. The threat of tear gas did not stop them as they came to tears, protesting an increase in the cases of women allegedly being pulled out of their homes and raped by armed gangs before being stabbed and left to die. Recently, a Standard 8 girl is said to have been dragged out of their home, taken kilometers away, then raped and stabbed by her perpetrator. The women claim that their reports to the police on insecurity have often fallen on deaf ears and are instead abused and disregarded. Gatundu North's new OCPD, Stephen Kirui, has promised to increase police patrols in the area.
Nikauliza, kijana umeamuka? Huyo mtu alikuwa akisimama kwa kitanda yangu. Nikamuuliza, wewe ni nani? Akanyamaza, wewe ni nani? Mara tatu ndio mzee wangu alisikia. Akamuuliza, ni nani? Akatoka akakimbia. Tunauliza, ni nini? Tutafukuza pasi kwa nguvu. Manyumba yetu na yetu kutukaa huko. Ndio tunauliza. Ndio mnao tunaandamana.
Well, the race for the Uganda parliamentary seat has entered the penultimate stage, even as security agencies sent out a stern warning to candidates to refrain from violent campaigns. This follows yesterday's incident where the ODM candidate, Christopher Karani's convoy, was pelted with stones by unknown people. Oko Kusa reports.
The tough-talking Uganda Deputy County Commissioner Pamela Otieno, together with the returning officer Vincent Saitabau, summoned all the 4 candidates and asked them to maintain law and order before and during the elections.
We are also telling the public that we have information that there are plans to infiltrate the sub-county with goons. The security is alert, and we are ready for them.
The administrator said that the area DCIO was already carrying out investigations into yesterday's incident to fish out those involved in the attack.
We have leads, and soon they'll be arraigned in courts.
Meanwhile, the returning officer Saintabau confirmed that preparations for the Friday polls are complete.
As we speak, we are doing the last level of training that began today for clerks and is ending tomorrow. We have received election materials. All strategic and non-strategic materials are with us. Technology machines, that is the KIMS, are being prepared. And we are ready to conduct this election on 5th of April, which is coming Friday.
Both the ODM and MDG candidates have blamed each other for sponsoring the skirmishes witnessed in the constituency.
The place where people were beaten up, pikis were basically being vandalized, was behind Orengo's home. I hope you know that. He beat up his own people yesterday. And when he beats his own people up, he can't blame on me.
Okoth Bursi is the right-hand man of Uchieng. He apparently went and led the youth to stone the cars. Almost 7 cars were stoned. And these were being done by young youth. There's nothing you can do to them because they are our boys from the village.
Christopher Karani, who is flying the ODM flag in the polls, is facing a stiff opposition from Movement for Development and Growth's David Ochieng, who successfully filed a petition in court challenging the victory of Karani in the 2017 polls. Others in the race are Daniel Juma of Grand Dream Development Party, GDDP, and Brian Omondi of Third Way Alliance. Huko Kusa, NTV.
Well, a scandal that has rocked the United Kingdom has exposed Kenyans and their academic prowess. A report shows that many doctorate students use Kenyans to write their PhD dissertations. Read about the thriving industry and why it is causing rumbles in the world of academia. Get this and much more tomorrow in your copy of the Daily Nation tomorrow. Let's take a very short break here on NTV Tonight. When we come back, Dan Mwangi will be bringing you all the business news.
Good evening and welcome to NTV Business. I'm Dan Mwangi. Now, the Central Bank of Kenya has sustained its push for the scrapping of interest rate caps in the country, even as Parliament fights to have the rate caps stay. Victor Kiprop now puts into perspective the future of the law, which was recently declared unconstitutional by the High Court.
Just 2 weeks after the High Court suspended and gave Parliament 12 months to amend the interest rates control law, which it said was ambiguous, the Central Bank of Kenya says it is determined to ensure that the law does not come back to life.
We are working with the commercial banks to make sure that we won't go back to the old regime that got us here. The caps obviously have, in a sense, destroyed a lot of our parts of the economy. And what we need to do is to go back to a better organized banking sector that actually is much more customer-centric.
Part of the solutions the CBK hopes will guide a successful return to a free-floating interest rates regime is the draft Kenya Banking Charter, which emphasizes on transparency and the use of a risk-based credit score to issue loans. CBK's quest, however, faces challenges from an appeal lodged by the Consumers Federation of Kenya (COFEC) and lawmakers, some of whom have already vowed to retain the cap.
It's a journey. We started on that journey. We started it some time ago, but we are hopeful and that we will actually have a solution that works for Kenya, for Kenyans, and indeed provides the opportunities that we all want.
Kenya introduced interest rate caps in September 2016 in order to reduce the cost of credit. But the cap has instead stifled credit to small and medium enterprises as banks hoped for risk-free government securities, according to the Central Bank of Kenya. Victor Kiprop, NTV Business.
There was no trading at the Nairobi Securities Exchange for the better part of the day, following what the NSE termed as unavailability of connectivity to the Central Depository System, that's CDS. Investors were unable to access their accounts since trading at the exchange relies on seamless connectivity to the CDS, which is the custodian of investors' accounts. NTV has been informed that the day's trading was not able to start until just before 3 p.m., inconveniencing investors for the second time this year after the January 9th outage. A notice from the exchange indicates that systems were restored and trading extended to 5 p.m. from the usual 3 p.m. closure. In the period that the market was open, 11.5 million shares were traded, with investors gaining 21 billion shillings in paper wealth compared to Friday's close. Representatives from 30 pension funds in the United States of America are in the country scouting for attractive investment opportunities for investment, that is. Now, but as Julian Samboko reports, the country still faces a hurdle in availing opportunities beyond the traditional asset classes to attract investors with deep pockets.
When the Kenya Pension Fund Investment Consortium was rolled out in September 2018, encompassing 12 fund managers managing 200 billion shillings worth of assets, the goal was to leverage scale to take on projects with huge capital demands. 6 months later, the consortium has wooed similar investors from the USA to come and tap into Kenya's market. As the consortium steering committee notes, however, Kenya's menu of opportunities for investment is still significantly thin.
If you look at the pensions industry in Kenya currently, of the 1.2 trillion shillings that was mentioned this morning, almost 35% of this is invested in government securities. 20% of this is invested in securities on the NSE, the Nairobi Securities Exchange. But if you look at the portion invested in alternative assets is very small. It's actually negligible.
On its part, the market regulator, the Retirement Benefits Authority, says it is important that players in the sector continue to tap into the opportunity presented by economies of scale to help realize growth.
We promote growth, and that is why we are very keen on this kind of initiatives, because they help us to promote development of the sector.
Investors targeting the Kenyan market are on the hunt for opportunities beyond the fixed income and equities, and hoping that the infrastructure spending promised with the Big Four agenda will be one such avenue through which these opportunities are unlocked. Julian Amboko, NTV.
Now, Mumias Sugar Company is experiencing yet another setback after tens of acres of cane were set ablaze a week ago. Now, the cause of the fire, beg your pardon, is still unknown, although a section of farmers say their frequent infernos could be a major contributor to the factory's latest 15.1 billion shilling loss. Zakias Masame with more.
These images of several acres of immature cane belonging to the giant Mumias Sugar Company destroyed by fire are not new. The recurrence of the fire is raising questions of who is responsible and what their intentions are. A number of farmers attached to Mumias Sugar feel that there could be a hidden plot to completely sink the once vibrant factory.
Ni lazima viongozi wote wakuje pamoja kuhakikisha ya kwamba maneno ambayo yanahusiana na Mumias Sugar Company, utendakazi wa Mumias Sugar Company umeangaliwa kwa kina.
Ukame Mumias imezidi. Watu saizi hata uwezo ukavuka kuku hata kwa nyumba. Hata uwezo kuwa na ng'ombe kwa boma. Kwa sababu ya nini? Mumias ilianguka na ndio hii imezidi kuanguka. Wameshachoma kila kitu, hata kama ni miwa yote imechoma. Saizi ukiangalia shamba hakuna miwa katika shamba ya nyukilia.
This is not the first time Mumias Sugar is experiencing the loss through fire. Late last year, 16 acres were burnt down, but investigation into the cause of that fire is still underway.
Hatuoni hata faida ya miwa yenye ilibaki hapa, ati haitusaidii. Ukiangalia zile miwa zenye ziko green, hawakukata, hazikuchomwa, hazina faida. Zitakatwa hata ziende wapi?
Hata hii miwa kuchomeka hivi, mimi uwanga nakata hapa nyasi karibu na barabara na nauzia hapo. Kwa vile kulingana kampuni kusimama, sisi wenyeji tumekuta imejikuta sisi kukata nyazi ndio tupate kula pale.
Kampuni hii kupata hasara hii ambayo imeipata ni kwa sababu ya poaching. Kitu ya kwanza, kumekuwa na ile hali ya watu kubeba miwa ambayo iko contracted kwa Mumias Sugar Company, kile kitu ambacho kinaitwa cane poaching.
Zakias Masame, NTV.
Now, still on cane and its pain, the operations at Sony Sugar Mill in Migori County remained paralyzed for the better part of Monday as the over 2,000 workers downed their tools over millions of shillings in salary arrears. The workers say they are yet to be paid since September 2018 and will not return to work until their dues are paid. Bernardo Juang reports.
From the main factory, agriculture offices, yards and even the administration blocks, all empty. This was the situation here at Sony Sugar Company, a state-owned mill in Migori County. More than 2,000 employees of the cash-strapped South Nyanza company staged demonstrations at the factory demanding close to 100 million shillings in salary arrears.
Workers have done their part. Many a times they are engaged. They do as per the plans and the set targets by the company. But eventually they are not paid.
Permanent staffs hawajapewa salary ya miezi miwili. Watu ambao wanafanya kwa contract hawajapewa mshahara ya miezi mitatu. They are not going to be at work any soon.
The workers here reported to work very in the morning as usual and closed all senior management offices, including that of the MD Bernard Otieno, finance boss Peter Otieno and board chairman Owino Likoa.
The problem is the management that we have. The management should be looked into. If there are managers who are not doing their work properly, then they should be removed from the system.
We are used to staying without earning salary. So we are going to sit for even 1 month until the time we will be paid salary for 2 months.
Operations at the mill remained paralyzed for the better part of the day, and senior management teams were nowhere in sight to address the striking workers. Bernard Ojuang, NTV.
Business is done, and I am Wangi. Have yourself a good night.
Well, thank you so much for staying with us. Now, imagine your child having an engine-run car of their own as a toy. Well, as bizarre as that sounds, that is the reality of some children living in Nairobi County. Samuel Mwangi takes all the credit for his invention for the little ones. He says he wants to change the way children interact with toys at the arcade and hopes that the locally made toy car will someday be common in amusement parks in the country. While Bridget Sungana engaged him in this week's My Job segment.
At 10 years of age, Samuel Mungara enjoys helping his older cousin at work. Every weekend, the two take the locally assembled, child-friendly car to eat out joints and amusement parks with the intention of giving children a taste of how driving a real car feels at a fee. Samuel Mwangi, the inventor of this car, credits his creative streak to his father, who he says planted seeds of ingenuity in him as far as metal work is concerned.
While we were in class 3, me and my brothers used to drive to school. He had an ancient design. I decided to upgrade from where he had put his level of engineering. I thought of coming up with a car, and that's where the idea came in. I thought of capturing from the bracket of 3 years up to 16 years to give them a real-life experience of driving.
The car runs on a motorcycle engine. It is a manual drive and is usually a center of attraction with children jostling for a ride whenever Mwangi and his cousin appear. Mwangi says it took him 2 months to build this car, which he says is low maintenance with a maximum acceleration speed of 20 kilometers per hour.
With only 100cc, we are able to power this vehicle. That means you're going to have fuel efficiency when you're using the car, especially in parks. With a fuel of about 500 shillings, you can have returns of 20,000 to 25,000 from what you're charging from the kids. At the same time, the kids are going to enjoy, when they go back to school, they're going to use what you call word-of-mouth advertisement network.
The Form 4 graduate who has no professional engineering training now has his sights on other child-friendly toys he plans to build in the future.
I'm thinking the next project is to put up something like a helicopter, which is not going to take off from the ground. Still, the main catch is to give kids the same experience, to put up a train, and thereafter a big amusement park that can have all these activities all-inclusive.
Mwangi is of the opinion that the education system in the country should embrace apprenticeship as part of the learning experience.
With the system, we don't have much to tap our talent. And I'm saying that because I remember at that age, while in class 4, we were told to come up with something for Science Congress. So I went making small toys like the other kids, but my dad challenged me, told me that I could do better because I had learned better with him, working with him in the workshop. At that time, we were able to come up with a small car that was able to carry other kids, but it never had an engine. It was something brilliant at that time.
Mwangi's target clients are the children whom he hopes his creations will guide towards living their dreams.
There's a beautiful aspect of it that I saw. Anytime the kid drives this car, they have some confidence in them. When they go back to school, we normally say that confidence is half the victory. They are able to focus more on their school activities. They have something to say. They have a story to tell. I want every kid to have the same experience, to build their confidence. Anyone who dreams of having a car, they'll see it's something normal to drive a car. Anyone who dreams of probably like being a pilot with the experience of that helicopter, they are going to see that it is possible.
When it comes to child's play here in Nakuru County, we do take it seriously, specifically for one man who made this car that helps every child who's ever thought of or even dreamt of driving a car or owning one even for a few moments the minute they're in this Swilky model. Forget about Toyota or even Prado. And all because one man thought that his dream was very much valid. Bridget, Ghana, NTV, Nakuru.
What a fantastic invention then. Thank you so much, Bridget Sungana, for that report. Well, every 1st of April, people have a free license to lie in good faith. Well, until midday. It's April Fool's Day, and it doesn't matter how cautious or skeptical you are. You may have fallen for a bad joke, especially on social media. Well, amid the overused and unremarkable jokes, there are some that merit a mention. We've collected all the best pranks, and here's our list of the top ones. Manufacturers. Blue Band Margarine started a bit early when they announced that they would be introducing a pre-spread bread for their customers' convenience. I mean, that could have been awesome. Then we go to Jambojet, who announced an offer on Fly na 50 Bob from the 1st to the 7th of April with only 100 seats available. Well, I guess not. The People Daily reported that popular musician Akode was nominated to cabinet to head a newly formed Ministry of Culture. Well, that is another interesting story. And the Star newspaper reported that former Jubilee Party Vice Chairman David Murathe had mended his relationship with Deputy President William Ruto. There you have it. Guess that's also a lie on April Fool's Day. And internationally, well, the Financial Times reported this morning that April Fool's Day jokes had been banned in case they trigger panic among the Brexit chaos. There you have it. Well, that is how we were fooled today on April Fool's Day. How were you fooled? Talk to us at NTV Kenya, at Zainab Ismail. Hashtag NTV Tonight. We take a break. Ida Waringa will be bringing us all the sporting action.
This April Fool, I'm Ida Waringa and welcome to NTV Sport. Now, the Kenyan team to the just concluded IAAF World Cross Country Championship in Aarhus, Denmark, arrived in the country to a rapturous reception at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport. World 5,000 meters champion Helen Obiri, who dominated the senior women's race on the way to winning it, and under-20 women's champion Beatrice Chebet led the team. Obiri, who was welcomed by her husband and manager Simon Nyaudi and daughter Tanya, now wants to shift her focus to track events. Jeffrey Kamuror, who was unable to defend his senior men's title, scooping bronze, arrived in the country a day earlier. Kenya finished second at the championship held in a tough and demanding course, with 2 golds and 2 bronze medals, a position lower than their last outing in Uganda when they topped the rankings. Acting Sports Commissioner Japson Gitonga was the only key government official present in the contingent that received the athletes.
Retain my title in World Championships, from there maybe Olympics 2020.
Because ukiona venye kosi ilikuwa ngumu, lakini ni kuvumilia. Ethiopians hawakuwa rahisi. To make it matter was Uganda wamekuwa hata hao challenging sana.
Well, the Nairobi City Stadium, one of the oldest facilities in the country, has been closed since 2015 after the Kenyan Premier League deemed it unfit to host the matches. As things stand, no renovations have been done to the stadium, with the Nairobi City County, who are responsible for maintenance and upgrading of the stadium, instead choosing to focus on constructing and giving a facelift to estate stadiums. Meanwhile, it's a wait and see till when a City Stadium's renovation debate is reignited.
First known as the African Stadium, renamed Donholm Road Stadium, then later Jogoo Road Stadium, and now City Stadium, used to host big matches in the Kenyan Premier League as well as CAF competitions, but that is no more.
It was the home of Kenyan football in the 1960s and 1970s, with clubs such as Gor Mahia having their home matches on these grounds. The only notable change it experienced was in 2008, when it was picked as one of the 52 facilities in Africa to benefit from FIFA's Win with Africa in Africa's initiative that sought to lay artificial turfs on each of the stadiums in the continent ahead of the 2010 World Cup finals that were held in South Africa. City Stadium is under the management of City County of Nairobi. It became the first ever stadium in Kenya to have an artificial turf laid on it through the initiative. But not much has changed since, exposing the poor leadership in the county and horrible state of sports facilities in the country.
Hivi viwanja usipo maintain vile natakana, baada mwaka 3-4 huwa kinaharibika. Kikiharibika, gharama ya kurekebisha ni kubwa sana.
In the succeeding years, the predecessors of Nairobi City County, in agreement with FIFA, were supposed to renovate the terraces, changing rooms, lighting, as well as build ample parking facilities. But that remained a dream, as the stadium's main stand is leaking and everything that is City Stadium is horribly wrong. Talk of betting company SportPesa's plan to refurbish the stadium to the tune of 400 million shillings fell on the wayside. What will have been a breeding ground for talents and in turn a rewarding source for revenue for the county, the new leadership under Governor Mike Sonko in May 2018 set aside 1 billion shillings for the upgrading of 5 stadia, namely Dandora Grounds, Ziwani Grounds in Starehe, Woodley in Kibra, Riruta in Kawangware and Kiumbuini, excluding the City Stadium. However, that also stopped at groundbreaking.
It is a legacy project ya Governor Sonko. Kwa sababu hii ni jambo ambalo haijaionekana Nairobi. Najua jinsi ambavyo tumekuwa tukitangaza kwamba tutajenga stadium, watu wengi wanasema haiwezekani. Lakini mimi nawaambia tu mtie tu macho, in 6 months time tutakuwa tumepanda 5 stadiums.
Mbona asitumie pesa ile ile kuweka nyasi kwa viwanja kama hivi? Na kuboresha kiwango cha management kwa viwanja kama hivi ili viwe open kwa community.
And years down the line, works at the stadium that was home for Kenyan Premier League giants Gor Mahia is yet to begin, with space around the stadium eaten up by hundreds of small businessmen at the stadium parking bay.
Having been banned by the Kenyan Premier League, no competitive football can be hosted on these grounds. But until then, it is a wait and see for any renovations that will bring football back to the Nairobi City Stadium. Meanwhile, more talents will be developed elsewhere. Brian Otual for NTV Sports at the Nairobi City Stadium.
Well, thanks for that, Brian Atwal, and hoping the situation can change. And Kariobangi Sharks advanced to the quarterfinals of the FKF Sport Pesa Shield after seeing off Division 1 league side Maranga Seal in the round of 16. Erika Paito scored the lone goal of the match. Bandari host Gor Mahia in the last match, of the round of 16 at the Mbaraki Sports Club, with the winner taking the remaining slot in the quarters ahead of the draws. Meanwhile, champions Gor Mahia beat a visiting Nzoia Sugar 2-1 in a league encounter at the Moi Stadium in Kisumu to stretch their lead at the top of the standings to 5 points. Francis Mustafa and Jeffrey Ochieng were on target for Kogalo, with Hansel Ochieng scoring for Nzoia. Gor do stay top with 41 points, 5 ahead of second place Sofapaka, with Mathare United in third place on 34 points. Moving on, and Sofapaka representative, or rather Kenya's representatives, Prisons and GSU registered mixed results on the opening day of the Men's Africa Volleyball Club Championship in Cairo, Egypt. Meanwhile, there seems to be light at the end of the tunnel for the National Olympic Committee of Kenya in regards to the stalled Olympic Plaza. More in our sports roundup.
Kenya Prisons got their Men's Africa Club Volleyball Championship off to a good start, beating Ethiopian champions Wolaita in straight sets of 25-14, 25-20 and 25-23 in their Pool C match. Kenya's other representative, GSU, were unable to withstand a spirited fight back from Libya's Asaria, going down 3-2 to the North Africans. 2011 finalist Prisons returned to the courts to face Egypt's Al Sweli on Tuesday evening, while GSU faced Guinea's ASFAG on Wednesday.
We won 3-0, but we tried our best because the first set we won with a margin of a very low score, the second set, but the third set we played a little bit bad, which we are going to rectify in the next match, and we'll fight on until the end.
The amount that NOC were to remit to reignite the building's construction, which had stalled, on condition that there will be full disclosure from all parties involved. The Olympic Plaza, located in the upmarket Upper Hill area, was estimated to cost 1.2 billion shillings, with Sidian Bank being the main financier with 800 million shillings. However, the bank paused on the investment, accusing the Olympic body of not pulling its weight after construction, which began in 2014.
And to the English Premier League now, where Arsenal will look to bolster their hopes of a top 4 finish in the Premier League as they host Newcastle United at the Emirates Stadium. We play again tomorrow. Right now, it's back to you, Zain.
All right, thank you so much, Aida Waringa, for that. Well, that brings us to the end of our bulletin this hour. And a very interesting question for you. How does a nut sneeze? It says cashew. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Zainab Ismail. Our sign language interpreter this evening was Flora Atieno. Have a lovely night.